I have a friend who swears by Budweiser's are the greatest beer around. Today, we're going to put that to a taste test, blind with 5 macro lagers.
Doesn't matter whether it's Bud or any of Glen's funny craft beers. If you have enough, you're going to get inebriated. Oh, we got better phrases to describe that. Stay tuned.
He's Jody McDonald. I'm Glen Macnow with the Lower Merion Beverage Company in Ardmore for an all-new episode of What's Brewing.
What's Brewing is brought to you in part by Monco Maker's Passport. Download your free digital pass and sip your way through Montgomery County. By the Conshohocken Brewing Company, featuring 4 locations and available at beer retailers throughout the tri-state area. By Visit Bucks County. Travel the Bucks County Ale Trail. Get your passport at visitbuckscounty.com. And by support from the Pennsylvania Malt and Brewed Beverage Industry Promotion Board and grant funding from the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board.
Hey, welcome to What's Brewing. I'm Glen Macnow with the Lower Merion Beverage Company in Ardmore, an amazing place. We'll show you around later. Thrilled to be joined by my radio partner of all these years, Jody McDonald. Hey, nice to see you in Pennsylvania, pal.
You and me drinking beer. That never happened before.
Oh, special guest for this segment, former Flyer defenseman, the boxcar, Ed Hossbutter. Ed found out we were drinking beer to say he wanted to be with us. Stand right there,
3
Eddie.
times before 5 o'clock.
So here's what we're doing. Jody has always been a Budweiser guy. The craft beer movement kind of went by him. Just explain your loyalty. There's no judgment day.
Yeah, it's not a knock on craft beer. I've drank craft beer. I drank craft beer with you. I enjoy it. But I'm a loyal guy. I've always been a loyal guy. And yeah, I've been drinking Budweiser since I'm 14 years old. And I've never lost the taste for it. I still think it's as good as any other beer that's out there. So if you got something that works for you, you stick with it.
All right, well, listen, it is the #1 selling beer in America. It is the king of beer. We know the Clydesdales. Budweiser uses rice in their beer. Most American beers don't. Gives it a very pale taste. And a lot of people love it. But do they, and will Jody and Boxcar like it better than our others that we have here today? Here's the lineup. This is Coors Banquet, okay, which is a 5% alcohol, slightly sweeter than the Coors Original, made with that Rocky Mountain water. This is Miller High Life. I'm thinking this will be my favorite. I'm a fan of this. The Miller High Life, more than 100 years, the champagne of bottled beers. Get to that one in a second. That's the Budweiser. What's this here? This is Pabst Blue Ribbon PBR, the 14th best-selling beer in America, 4.8%. And because Boxcar's here, we brought a Canadian to represent where you grew up, Labatt's Blue. You've had a few of these?
Yeah. Okay. On the French side.
Here we go, boys. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to try each of them. I got you your scoring sheets. We got pens. Just write it. 5 being, this is a great beer. 1 being, this is garbage. Score it 1 to 5. Let's do number 1. Give it a taste.
I have no reason to be mad at any one of these guys.
Hang on. All right, I like that. That gets a 4 for me.
Not bad.
Hey, take all the time you want, guys. It's only TV.
I would go middle of the road. I'm going to go with a 3
okay.
For the first one off the bat.
Ed?
I liked it.
All right, what do you got?
I'm going to make it make it like figure skating.
Okay, what do you got?
Drawing.
Well, this way, when we add up the numbers, it's not all fixed.
Here we go. We got to do this fast.
It's not all fixed.
All right, number 2.
Make us do
I'm
math.
good at math.
Drink number 2. See what you think.
Number 2.
Yeah. All right. I'm not liking this as much. It's got a little bit of a tinny aftertaste, which does not work for me. I give it a 2.
Ooh, Boxcar likes it. Not a great
I give it
fan.
a solid 4.
All right.
I'm going to join him with the points. 2.5 for me.
All right, that one did not do
beer
well.
number 2.
All right, beer number 3. We do not know which these are. Maybe and Jody will recognize Bud. Maybe he won't. I'm guessing it's the Labatt's. I don't know. I think it's crisp, very clear, I like it. It gets a 4. No half grades for me. Come on.
Well, you might have buffalo water in it. That's why you're
There
giving
you
it
go.
such a high
That
score.
great Lake Erie stuff. You know it's clean.
I'm with you, Mac Man. I'm going to go with a 4.
4?
That was
Okay.
good, crisp. Cold. I always appreciate cold. That
Whoa,
was nice and
this
cold.
one scored well. There you go.
4
So
across
far
the
in the
board.
lead is number 3. We don't know what it is. All right, here comes number 4. Here's to you, pal.
Cheers.
No. No, no, no. Okay, that one gets from me a 1.5. I guess I said I wasn't going to do decimals.
Didn't like that
but I
one,
did.
huh?
No, I did not.
I'm all right with that.
I'm fine with
Not
that.
as good as the last one. I'll go with a nice round 3.
Okay, Ed?
Well, I'm going to stick with the 4 there.
Okay, oh, you liked it. Okay. And number 5. We're all holding up here? Doing all right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Enjoy. All right. What do you say?
Yeah, I like the last one.
This one?
Yeah.
What do you give it?
5. I'll go with a solid 4 again. I didn't go 5 on
Okay.
any.
Yeah, nobody
so-
went 5. Okay. What do you give it?
Oh, that's a good one. It is. I like free and cold beer, so I'm giving
All
them
right.
all a 4.
So that gets
right,
11.
Freddie.
So we got to know what's what now. The winner is number 3 that scored a 12. What is number 3? PBR. 3 PBR is the winner. Wow. The second most popular was number 5 that got an 11. Number 5 is Labatt's is number 2.
Wow.
The third one that came in is number 1, got a 10.5. That is? Number 1? Yeah, number 1. Coors, number 3. Hello!
Bud's going in the
Budweiser
tank
going down the
here.
tank. And number, the fourth one was number 5, which was? Oh, I didn't know. I'm sorry. The fourth one is number 2. Miller High Life. And,
So Bud finished worse.
and the loser, Budweiser,
which
by
was
the
number
way,
what?
Wait, worst of a very good crowd.
Which was number 2. You gave number 2 a
My
no.
lowest grade, 2.5.
Well, there you have it.
His own
Jody
beer.
Mack,
He gave his own
here's what I
back.
say to you. It's time for you
Time for change,
to
huh?
expand. Boxcar,
So,
thanks for
Pops.
joining us
All
in
right.
this. All right,
All right,
when
Jody,
we
keep your head
come
up.
Always a
back,
pleasure, Jerry.
beer labels are a big thing. This is how they sell beer now, not the content of its character, but the color of its label. You'll see more from Lower Merion Beverage Company on What's Brewing.
So we went to this place called Bucks County for vacation. There was so much to do. We played games, rode on a train, and visited Kids Castle. I went on rides, water slides, and got to hang with Elmo at Sesame Place. We hiked to this huge boulder field called Ringing Rocks. Oh, and I got to meet a pilot. That was so cool. You gotta go.
Hey, welcome back to What's Brewing with the Lower Merion Beverage Company, an amazing store. They have an array of everything here in Lower Merion. I'm Glen Macnow with my pal Jody Mack. What are you drinking, Jody?
To the victor go the spoils. Pabst Blue Ribbon won, so I feel obligated to drink it, and it was actually pretty damn good.
I
So
like it.
Thanks
So-
for asking. Thanks for pouring.
I am drinking a 394 Pale Ale, and
Week 94.
you know what this is? This is a beer out of San Diego, and the 394 is a tribute to Tony Gwynn's best batting average.
Really?
Which is very
cool. Very cool.
And a good beer. And I like the label, which brings us to the next topic, which is with so much competition for shelf space, which you can see in this great store, beer cans have to pop. People buy beer because of loyalty, because they like a taste, but they are attracted to labels. I asked you to go around the store, find a couple you like. What'd you come back with?
I did. Now, this one I took, but then I thought about it. Great Notion
That's a great can.
with an eyeball.
Yeah, it's great.
The first one's cool. After you've had about 6 or 7, the eyeball starts looking at you. Not a
Yeah.
good thing. All
Yeah, I
so
imagine not.
I'm moving off that one. I
Okay.
contemplated it, but we've got a couple of great notions. Berry Pusher. that guy looks like somebody I could drink with. I think that's actually
I
pretty
love that.
cool.
That is a great can.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And another one from, well, no, that's Peacemaker. Creatures of Magic.
Very
Maybe it's just
psychedelic. Jody, you're very...
Yeah, the 10th to the 11th one of this would get even cooler.
Jody going back to his college days in Albany, where it wasn't just beer that was psychedelic.
No, and this is another
Beautiful.
Peacemaker India Pale Ale. Yeah, I can see where I do like spot buying and go, hey, that's cool. Let me see it. Let me grab it.
Right. It attracts your eye, and if you like the style, you give it a try. They actually have annual awards for this called the Crushies, which I love, which judge the best beer labels. This is Ransack the Universe. Hey, it's a pretty girl's leg and a skateboard, right?
Yeah,
you got to like this out of Hamilton, Ontario. And this one I got, which is Bodum IPA. I just kind of like the volcano look to that. Here's the counter argument to that, because this is one of the best beers and one of my favorites, Main Lunch IPA.
Hospital.
Eddie loves this beer
loves
too.
that.
There is not a more boring label in the world. Let's move on to something else, which is, we put this on our social media account. You can find me at Real Glen Macnow on Twitter. You're Jody Macman on Twitter?
JODYMACMAN.
There you go. The show is What's Brewing, at What's Brewing PA. And we decided, like, let's come up with different ways of saying getting drunk, getting inebriated. This is your list. Why don't you read to the people what the contributions we got in the names?
Yes, and man, you get a lot of responses on social media for this show. Philly Dude, Skunked. Yeah, that's one that I've used. Having a teeper.
Don't know that
That's
one.
news to me. Never heard that one. 3 sheets to wind, always good. Crocked, loaded, been there, done that. Getting gooned, I never have used that expression before.
He would
there
use
you
that.
go.
Yeah.
Hospodar fits well.
Right.
Mine, I always was a hammered guy.
Yeah.
Oh man, did I get hammered?
Yeah.
Blotto, and been known to say spit-faced. And if I
Sort of,
could ask
yes.
Vanna to change a vowel for me, I would change a vowel.
I
from
think
a
a
P to
consonant, but yes.
You get it. Okay.
Point is made. Brian Smith, stewed. Dan Roth says, you got to go British old school, snockered. I like that. Or plotzt, which would be the Yiddish version of that. Jeff Martin, getting blotto. You might have said that already.
I said blotto, yes.
Yeah, Chet Chesko said plastered, sloshed, liquored up, and Doc Terry, my favorite, he's had a snootful. By the way, Sarah Chaga says, not sure if you can say this one, but half kicked in the ass. I guess we just did.
Yeah, you
also, like sloppy, annihilated tuna. Ms. Chaga, I am surprised at you. And finally, Ben Franklin, Jody Mack, published in 1737 in the Pennsylvania Gazette.
What? Wrote it in longhand?
No, he had a newspaper he published. Okay. The Pennsylvania Gazette, 1737, published more than 200 ways of saying getting inebriated.
I thought Ben was busy like inventing every invention in the history of mankind.
Ben was busy sleeping with every woman in the colony and drinking beer. Ben had quite the life.
Good life.
These are just his B's, okay? Here you go. He's Biggie. He's bewitched. Block and block. Boozy. Boused. Been at the Barbados. Pissed in the brook. Ooh, I like that one. Drunk as a wheelbarrow. Burdocked. Busky buzzed. He stole a mansion out of the brewer's basket. Use that one next time. His head is full of bees. He's been in the bibbing plot. He's drank more than he's bled. He's bungee. Drunk as a beggar. He's seized the bears. He kissed Black Betty. Had a thump over the head with Samson's jawbone. And he's bridgy.
That's too much work. Ben, love you, but that's too much work.
All right, Jody, as I drink this Tony Gwynn beer, and you drink your new favorite beer, Pabst Blue Ribbon, how many games will the Phillies win in 2023?
That's a good question. I think the betting over-under on most outlets is about 88.5 or 89. If you use that as a barometer, I'm going to go over, just slightly over. There's a reason why all these betting sites make money. They set very good lines and they're accurate. They don't make it easy on you. All right, I'm going to put a whole bunch of money on that. I think that's right where the Phillies are, high 80s, maybe 90. Yeah, I think they can get 90 wins.
Playoff appearance?
Yes.
There you go.
All but a lock.
We'll drink to that. Coming up, we'll check in with Joe Sixpack in France from the Lower Merion Beverage Company with my pal Jody Mack. I'm Glen Macnow. You're watching What's Brewing. Hey, it's Glen Macnow here with Andrew Colligan, genius and chief bottle washer at the Conshohocken Brewing Company, here to show us what's hot for 2023.
Our lead dog, Type A IPA, citrus and grapefruit, 7% West Coast IPA.
Love this one. It's coming home with me. What's next?
Life Coach, our hazy IPA, our fastest growing brand, juicy and citrusy, perfect for any hazy IPA.
And very crushable. Keep going.
Ring the Bell, our American lager, crisp, clean, easy drinking, tastes especially good down the gate.
No better way to celebrate a win. And
Backpack beer, our Belgian-style wheat, light, refreshing, and approachable. Throw a couple backpacks in your backpack.
I'm gonna go take a hike. Finally,
Bubba's Row, our classic ESB, proud to make maybe one of the best English ales in the country. Philly loves an underdog, support your local brewery and watering hole.
it's a beautiful sentiment. All these available at Conshohocken Brewing locations or wherever great beer is sold. Welcome back to What's Brewing. I'm Glen Macnow, joined, as always at this part of the show, from France by Joe Sixpack. Joe, it's a big week as we do this show because it is leading up to April 7th, which is National Beer Day. What's that mean?
National Beer Day. I guess it's a good reason for a holiday when you cancel or you end Prohibition after, 13 years of horrible times for America when we couldn't drink anything, no alcohol at all. On April 7th, 1933, FDR signed legislation that repealed the Volstead Act. And for the first time in those 13 years, America could drink beer.
This was
Light
a big
beer, 3.2% alcohol, but beer nonetheless.
And this was a big deal that also marked the first public display of the Clydesdales, who marched down, Broadway in New York? Fifth
I think
Avenue.
it was Fifth Avenue.
Yeah.
Yeah. They made Anheuser-Busch always on top of things. They seized the moment, had these Clydesdales march down Fifth Avenue and present a case of beer to Al Smith, the governor of New York, who was a huge proponent of ending Prohibition. It was a huge thing, Glenn. I mean, everybody was happy after all this time without beer, and it's amazing too because FDR signed this legislation just 2 weeks after he was sworn into office. Just remarkable.
Well, that's a good early accomplishment by a president. Now, we know that booze was made illegal. The Prohibition came about around, 1920, I guess it was, because of a coalition of teetotalers and religious zealots and busybodies and so on. It became legal again, not because everybody thought it was a great idea to drink, but because of economic reasons, right?
Yeah, the thing about beer before Prohibition was that it produced, all alcohol produced a lot of taxes for the government, and they eliminated all those and they replaced it with the income tax. And so the Prohibition, one of the selling points for ending it was that, we'll bring back taxation on alcohol. And maybe we'll reduce the income taxes. Well, guess what happened? We got taxes on booze, but the income tax is still here.
Well, and this was during the Great Depression, so they were looking for any way to raise money. And it's interesting because it's not that different than arguments today to legalize both pot and sports betting, right? Two kind of sins that people do anyway, that they say, all right, well, if people are going to do it, maybe the government can make money off it, and that was that. All right, so you said at first that it was just kind of low alcohol beer, 3.2, I think was the limit you said. And I read an interesting article that said that kind of led to America's decade-long kind of love affair with low alcohol lagers. That before Prohibition, people drank dark beers and heavier beers and so on. But when this came back, they developed just a taste for kind of the non-hoppy, low alcohol beers that America was drinking up until the last, 20 years.
I think that Prohibition, or rather near beer, basically is what it was, or low alcohol beer, did bring about the trend of drinking those lighter flavored beers. And it was further enhanced during World War II when the American GIs were getting that low alcohol beer. So they came back with a taste for a lighter beer, not the heavier ales. And, you see where it got us after that. into the 50s and 60s, those mainstream light lagers were the way to go.
Okay, so, and that obviously has evolved. Now people drink all range of beers. Prohibition ended, but it did leave some legacies. Things happened, started up during Prohibition that kind of live on to this day. One of them I know you want to talk about, the beer cruise.
Yeah, beer cruises. It's like one of those funny things about the Prohibition is that Americans found a way to drink regardless. And one way they did that was by hopping on a boat, sailing 3 miles out into international waters, which was the boundary back then, and drinking as much as they could and then coming back on board. It was a big way to get people out of the binds of Prohibition. And the result, though, was that for the first time in American history, we saw middle-class people being able to afford to go on cruises, and that's something we have today. Middle-class people can afford, and they do cruises. A little bit more than drinking, than just going out and drinking as much as you can in 3 miles off the coast.
I read years ago, I read a great book about Prohibition by Daniel Okrent. I don't exactly remember the name of the book, but it's by Daniel Okrent. It was great because it also led to a lot of other things. Cocktails became more prevalent because the grain alcohol was so bad that people just started pouring stuff into it, developed all kinds of cocktails. Speedboats came about because the smugglers were trying to evade the cops. It's a fascinating era. One last thing, let's clarify. Booze became legal on April 7, 1933. Beer.
Just beer.
But not other booze for a couple of years, right?
No, actually, that December we saw the legalization. It was the end of temperance. The 21st Amendment was ratified by the states, and that legalized beer and wine and all sorts of spirits at that point.
And you know what? We benefit for it. Joe Sixpack, it's always a pleasure to spend time with you. I'll see you next week. We'll be back with more of What's Brewing.
The Valley Forge Tourism and Convention Board is holding its first ever Freedom from Hunger Drive in the spring. We normally hold it in the fall and we'll still be doing that, but we want to help the soup kitchens and food pantries all across Montgomery County recover from exhausting their resources over the holidays and get ready for the summertime when kids won't be in school for free and reduced meals. No one should have to wake up with the burden of worrying if they'll have enough to eat that day. So help us fight hunger together at valleyforge.org/hunger. For the Tourism Board, I'm Rachel Riley.
Welcome back to What's Brewing. We're at the Lower Merion Beverage Company. I'm Glen Macnow, and I am drinking a Any Days Haze. You know I love the hazy IPAs by Beer Tree Brewery out of, I think, Binghamton. Jody, what do you got?
I got a Bohemian Pilsner.
Nice.
Wacker's Bohemian Pilsner, and it is certainly different than the PBR. I got to give the PBR its props for winning, but this is different and good in its own right.
All right, so that's out of Lancaster, which is local, and Jim Martin owns and runs Lower Merion Beverage Company. Jim, I've talked about you on the show. This store is amazing. It's a super store of beer.
Yes.
But one of the things that I'm really impressed with is you carry the locals. You set some of them up here. Let's talk a little bit about the challenge that small local breweries face, and I guess kind of your support of that.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, when we opened the store, trying to keep it local was our tagline, and is how do we support our local breweries? Because they are the backbone of the beer industry now. I mean, there's so many of them out there, and they need our support. So, we've come in and allowed ourselves to work with these guys to bring them in to sell their beers. We've partnered with a lot of folks who are just amazing people. A lot of young folks, growing families, trying to grow a business.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, Americana type of thing.
You give them good shelf space. You give them the opportunity for people to wander and see them.
Yeah, we try, and I think that's the idea. Is beer is about experience and about what you said. I think you mentioned there's the taste of it. There's the can art. The experience of beer, and that's what a local brewery can bring that a lot of the larger places can't. You can go to a beer pub, a brew pub, and just have a really good time, meet the owners, meet the staff, and enjoy just the beer and the environment that you're in. And I think they do a really good job of doing that. That's what I like and enjoy.
Yeah.
So I raised my kids of taking them to brew pubs over the last 15 years. So yeah, it's really good. So we partnered with a bunch of folks. A lot of these guys self-distribute as well. They don't go through wholesalers. And so you'll see a guy who's the brewer, the driver,
Yeah.
the barroom manager,
Right.
all doing all those tasks of trying to grow their business. One of those is Twisted Gingers out of Manayunk.
Yeah.
Mark Mayer is a really good friend of ours. We love it. Big Hill Cidery, we've just got to know them recently. They're out of Gettysburg, and they're doing cider. That the owner came a couple days ago, dropped off the cider, and he's like, yeah, I got to hire more people because I'm doing everything.
Great.
So it's an amazing process. I love supporting them, and they're fun.
Now you are committed, because I can see the PA labels right on your shelves, that you are committed to push the locals, to be partners with the locals.
Yeah.
Is it working? Because we talked about the cans work, the popping of the eye works. Well, the quality of the beer should work and should be the determining factor. Are you getting that out of local companies these days?
Amazing, and I think that's the part that trying to encourage folks here. It's people have their favorites from when they travel somewhere. Like folks go up to Burlington, Vermont, and they'll love going skiing, and they'll fall in love with the greatest Vermont beers. But if they would just give the beers here a try, I can imagine a lot of them are as good or not better than those other beers that you find at other places across the country. Now, again, that's not saying all the beers are going to be great, but I think with that experience, they are.
Right. So I wandered around and found this one, which is not local. This is from Anchorage Brewing, Jody Mack. And this one, it's Wendigo Double Oaked Black Barley Wine. And Jim, what does this sell for a bottle?
About $67.
That is correct. Jody,
Not happening.
You want to crack that open?
Not happening. No. Thank you very much.
Okay, so that leads me into, we know that the IPA revolution kind of took over everything, and you have obviously a lot of space for IPAs, double IPAs, hazy IPAs. What else are people drinking these days?
So right now, I think imports are growing again. People are going back to the old school. The beginning of craft beer for a lot of folks was that first import beer that they got, whether they took it out of their dad's refrigerator or whatever else.
For me, that would be Beck's and Guinness.
Yes, back in the day. And those are starting to come back. Pilsners are, I would, not to say these are the next IPAs, but they're very difficult.
You see an upswing.
A tremendous upswing, and they're really hard to make well.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the breweries are jumping into that and getting into that marketplace. And it's easy to drink. A Bohemian Pilsner, it's easy. You can drink it all summer. Gives you that crisp, clean feel. American wheat beers have been growing as well. And I think, for me, I keep pushing on browns and dark beers and bitters.
I love the nut brown
English ales.
Yeah.
And
Jody and I are going to try some of those next week. He may not know that, but we're going to try some of those. So Jim, before we go, I just want reassurance. How many styles do you have overall? How many?
We've got about over 2,000 beers.
Over 2,000 beers. You will not forsake Jody's favorite, you will not forsake Jody's favorite Pabst Blue Ribbon, correct?
No,
it will
never.
always be here. Here you go.
We are.
Jody, there you
Thank
go.
you very
All right.
much.
Hey, Jim Martin, thanks so much. We really enjoyed it.
Appreciate it.
We've enjoyed it so much. Jody and I are going to go take a nap in the refrigerator here. We'll come back next week to Lower Merion Beverage Company for a new episode of What's Brewing.
What's Brewing is brought to you in part by Monco Maker's Passport. Download your free digital pass and sip your way through Montgomery County. By the Conshohocken Brewing Company, featuring 4 locations and available at beer retailers throughout the tri-state area. By Visit Bucks County. Travel the Bucks County Ale Trail. Get your passport at visitbuckscounty.com. And by support from the Pennsylvania Malt and Brewed Beverage Industry Promotion Board and grant funding from the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board.